Hey guys, you are in the right place for our Q2 consumer app training. We'll get started here in about 5 more minutes. So go ahead and grab a beverage, grab your cell phone, get ready to learn more about the KW consumer app. So getting started here in about 5 more minutes. All right, guys, 2:30. So let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Q2 South Texas training for technology. Today we're going to talk about the KW consumer app. I apologize. I had a friend that just brought over some salsa, and I didn't think it was very hot. And I just tried some, and it definitely crept up on me. So, whew, good stuff. All right, so let's do a little bit of housekeeping, and then we're going to get started with our training today. So for those of you that I have not met, my name is Marty Miller. I am your regional technology trainer for the South Texas region, which includes all of the Houston and surrounding areas, San Antonio, Austin, all the way down south to the Rio Grande Valley. I've been with Keller Williams going on 7 years now. I have served in the role as individual agent I've worked on a team as a buyer's agent, listing agent, VP of expansion, VP of sales, and president. I have been a productivity coach, and then most recently now in this RTT role with you as well. So excited to be here. Wish I could be there in person, obviously, given everything that's happening nowadays, probably for the best. And yet, hopefully by Q3, I'll have the opportunity to get to meet those of you that I have not and see those of you that I haven't seen in a while as well. So looking forward to that. I'm from Katy, Texas, live here in Katy with my wife. We have twin 5-year-old daughters, which is pretty exciting. And then little Lily May comes August 19th. So pretty excited about daughter number 3. So that'll be fun for me. What are we talking about today? The KW Consumer App. This will be a Zoom webinar. So to answer a few questions that typically come in, first of all, you probably noticed you didn't get the whole Brady Bunch view with everyone's cameras. With Zoom webinars, your cameras are automatically disabled. So we cannot see any of your screens. I can't see them. No one else can see them. So don't worry about any chaos that might be happening in the background. If you need to step away for a second, you can do that, of course. In addition, you are automatically muted. So if you do have any questions that you want to discuss in person via voice, there's a button down here that says raise hand. So if you click on that button, I can actually see you raise your hand. Not, I can see on the chat, the participants window, you raise your hand. And then I can unmute you. We can have a conversation that way. There should also be another button down here that says chat. If you click on that button, the chat window will pop up and you can answer questions that I have for you there, and then also have conversations, answer questions, etc. in the chat button as well. Chelsea, if you don't mind, I'm going to promote you to a panelist so you and I can have some Q&A and discussion live. Hope you were prepared for that. I'm putting Chelsea on the spot, FYI, just so you know. So I'm sure as a willing volunteer, she'll play with me. And if not, I'm going to rely on you guys in the chat as well. So Chelsea, you can unmute yourself whenever you would like. Let's have a conversation, young lady. What kind of app are we talking about today? What kind of app are we talking about today?
We are talking about a consumer app.
A consumer app? Wait a minute. I thought we were Keller Williams agents. Why would we be talking about a consumer app?
Because we have consumers.
Exactly. All right. So I know it's kind of a basic question, guys, and a little bit of tongue-in-cheek there, but I have had some questions come up, both teaching this webinar in the past and just in general, where agents wearing their agent hat play with the consumer app and say, I wish it could do this, that, or the other. And it's because they're viewing the app as an agent and not as a consumer. Remember, this app was built by KWRI and the Labs team for our consumers' use. So we're actually going to spend the first hour of our class using this app as a consumer would use it. The reason being is I want to highlight all of the features that make this app stand out. I want to be able to, the reality is that your consumers have real estate apps on their phone right now. Many of them have one, several of them have more than one. And when you call, text, email, social media them and say, hey, I've got this great new app I want you to check out about real estate, a lot of them are going to say, no, I'm good, right? I'm all right. I've already got that. Why do we want them to use our app? I'm going to show you the features that our app has that the apps that they may be using right now don't, so that you can then help, I mean, better or worse, like sell them on using that app. So that's what we're going to spend during the first hour. Last 30 minutes, we're going to put our agent cap back on and we're going to get into Command. I'm going to show you some of the things that you can do in Command within the consumer app, and then some of the things that the consumer app is actually doing in Command. We'll put the two pieces together, then we'll wrap it all up in a pretty bow and get you guys on to your weekend. So first of all, I appreciate you all being here. I know Bold is happening right now. We attempted to schedule around that. We didn't really know Pivot was happening. So thank you for those of you that are being here. We are taping this, recording this, if you will. So I will send that link back out to Chelsea and her team, most likely first of next week. So if you do need to leave early, if you have friends or family members or team members that want to be here but can't, let them know that we will get that link out to you guys soon as well. So without further ado, let's get into the KW Realty app and start having that discussion. So if you have not already, your first piece of homework is to go and download the KW Consumer app. You're going to download that from your app store. It's going to look like this on your phone. You can see red letters, white background that says KW. Once you click on the app, you'll be immediately taken into a search screen. If you have just recently downloaded this, two things. First of all, you will need to create an account. Now, again, if you have your agent hat on, you're thinking, I already have an account. I have an account with Command. I have an account with KW Connect. I have an account with mykw.kw.com. I should be able to use that username and password, that email and password. Remember, guys, this is a consumer app, and the consumer app doesn't care that you're a KW agent. If you have never registered as a consumer on the consumer app, you will need to create a new account. So that's the first step. Second step, if for any reason you are using this app for the first time and you have not branded it to yourself, you're going to want to go through that process as well. So if you just downloaded it, you didn't follow your own link, you didn't follow any of those types of things, you just kind of went straight to the App Store, then you'll know whether or not your app is branded to an agent by clicking on the More button in the bottom right-hand corner. So let's click on More. If you see a good-looking headshot with an agent's name and a license number there, then you know that this app has been branded to a specific agent. Most likely, you branded it to yourself. However, if for any reason you come in and your app looks like this, you have not branded the app to an agent, in which case you would want to go through the process of actually doing that. So in order for you as the consumer to brand your app to an agent, you want to click on Find an Agent. You can see that I can search by the agent's name or a location in which they do business. So I could actually come in and search for Beaumont. And that'll bring up, right, Beaumont, Texas. You can see under the cities there at the bottom. And it's going to give me a list of all the agents that are doing business in Beaumont, Texas. And I can start scrolling through and seeing here are all of those agents. Now, let me ask you a question. If you as a consumer landed on this list, and this is where you were on the list, and you saw these 6 amazing agents, all very talented, all very good at what they do, and yet you as a consumer didn't know anything about them. In the chat, I want you to tell me which one of these 6 would you most likely be interested in doing business with, or at least learning more about first. Which of the 6 on the screen would you most likely be willing to do business with or want to learn more about first? Bingo, you guys are all on the same track, right? Sandra and Robin and Danya say because she has a picture, right? It's the one with the picture. So if you have not gone into KW Command and kwconnect.com, both of those locations, and filled out your marketing profile on those 2 sites, that's your next piece of homework. In order to find out what your profile actually looks like, just click on that search button at the top one more time, and then start typing in your name. You'll see your name comes up on the list of agents. You can click on it, and then you can see what your profile now looks like as an agent to the consumer. So is your headshot loaded? If you're on a team, is your team name and team logo listed? Is the address of your market center there? Is your website listed? Do you have any specialties and designations? Is your email and phone number listed? And do you have a full bio? Okay, this is what we want all of your profiles to look like. Not exactly like this, obviously, and yet we want you to make sure that yours has information, because again, you're looking for the consumer to connect with you, and the more information you have here, the higher the likelihood that the consumer would connect with you. Now, should you choose to connect with yourself as the agent, any other consumer would do the same thing. They would click on Get in Touch at the bottom of the screen. Once there, you can see they have the opportunity to claim you as their agent. So they would just click on Confirm, and then you'll get a success button there that says, yep, Marty's now your agent. They're going to help you find the right home. So the current one you can contact at any time through the app. I can tap anywhere to dismiss. If I want to verify that I now have a branded app, you can see clicking on that More button in the bottom right-hand corner. Now I'm back to pulling up the View Profile section, which says this app is tied to this agent. This consumer app is tied to this real estate agent. Okay, everybody follow that. All right, so let's dive into using the app as a consumer. The first thing we want to do is search. Chelsea, let me ask you, I didn't prepare you for this, and yet last 12 months, next 12 months, have you been on any vacations within the US or Canada? Anything planned or any that you've actually been on?
Last 12 months, yes. This 12 months, we've postponed everything.
Okay, last 12 months. Tell me about a vacation you went on.
We went on a 4-day Carnival cruise to Cozumel with my little girl.
All right. Anywhere else in the U.S. that you went to?
We went to Boston.
Boston or Boston?
Yes. Boston with a B.
Boston with a B. Anywhere fun in Boston that you went to see? Did you go to Fenway Park?
We went to Fenway Park. It was a baseball trip.
If you wanted to live near Fenway Park, do you know any addresses around that stadium?
No.
That's all right. I don't either. And yet I have the KW Consumer app. Hey, Chelsea, is that Fenway Park?
That is Fenway Park.
You want to buy a house near it?
Yeah.
There you go. Anywhere else you went?
Yes, gosh, because you're asking. Round Top, Texas.
Round Rock?
Round Top.
Round Top. Ah, I know Round Top well. Did you go to, where did you go? Did you go to were you going antiquing?
Yep, we went antiquing.
All right.
We go every show.
Round Top. Is that Round Top?
That is.
Pretty close there, right? Now that's a city, so we kind of cheated. Let me ask you, Chelsea, I know you have kids. Have you ever been to Disneyland or Disney World?
Not yet.
Not yet. And yet, if you wanted to live close by so you didn't have to worry about buying plane tickets each time, you could see there are some houses available for sale around Disneyland. There's Disneyland right in the middle. There are your houses. Now, what if you wanted to go to Disney World instead? Oh, looks like Disney World, Epcot Center Drive. Want to buy some houses around there?
Yes.
Chelsea, ever wanted to be involved in, what about politics? Ever wanted to be involved in politics? Want to live near
Once upon a time.
Right, most of the time. That's a great answer. Probably one of the best I've heard so far. And yet, here are some houses for sale around the White House. Wait for it, wait for it. There are definitely homes for sale around the White House. And what if I just wanted to see the Statue of Liberty from my second floor balcony? Because what an amazing view that would be. There's Ellis Island and homes for sale around the Statue of Liberty. Chelsea, how many addresses did I put in?
0.
How many states did I put in?
0.
Any cities?
2.
Right, we kind of cheated with Round Top, but I think that was the only one where we actually used a city. Now, each time that we did a search though, the KW Consumer app zoomed me in on what I was searching for, even though I didn't have a city, I didn't have a state, I didn't have an address. How is that even possible?
The app knows.
The app does know, Chelsea. The app always knows, right? So our KW Consumer app is actually a partnership with Google. You can see Google's logo on the bottom left-hand corner of the actual search screen. So when you're typing something that is not a specific address, city, or state, Google is using that search term that you're putting in, integrated with their Google search function and saying, what's the most likely address that this person is searching for? And then it zooms in our KW Consumer app on that specific address. Any of you guys ever been to a Texans game and then realize that's a long drive home after the game?
Yes.
Want to buy a house nearby the stadium? There you go. Right? So take it back home. There's a Reliant Arena and you can see houses for sale around the stadium. Might make a great investment property as well. So just one way that your consumer can use our app is by searching by landmarks. Go search for any of those search terms that we just used and some of those other real estate apps and let me know what happens. I can almost guarantee you that you will be taken either to a random street named Disneyland, the White House, or it'll say, we don't recognize this search term. So one nice thing that our consumers can do is actually search by landmark. Chelsea, give me some neighborhoods there in the area, popular neighborhoods in your market.
I'm gonna go at Barrington Heights because it's right behind the office.
Barrington?
Yep.
Heights. Oops, almost. Is that Barrington Heights?
Yes, I think so. Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Let's zoom out just so we know where we are, make sure we're in the right place. Nope, we're in
we're not, yeah.
Barrington Heights. And And let's go ahead and just put in Beaumont. Now, I don't know much about Beaumont, but someone told me that Barrington Heights was a nice neighborhood. Is that Barrington Heights? Are we recognizing these streets?
Yes, yeah, that was right by the office.
Okay. So as I start to search, you guys are going to see that at kind of the, I don't know, 2,000 foot view, I'm just getting actual properties. Now, as I start to zoom in, I get all of these blue boundaries start to pop up. Those blue boundaries are neighborhood boundaries that have been inputted by consumers that live in those neighborhoods to nextdoor.com. So our app not only partners with Google, it partners with Nextdoor in providing us with neighborhood boundaries. And then if we continue to zoom in, we can actually get the names of those neighborhoods. And there's Barrington Heights right in the middle of our screen. Now, coming from Katie, I might not know anything about Beaumont, but I know Barrington Heights. I've heard Chelsea said that's a nice neighborhood. Well, what if I wanted to know more about that actual neighborhood? I can click on Barrington Heights in the middle of the screen. I'm going to click on that white little button, and you'll see I'm going to start to get information about the neighborhood. The average days on market for the home, average home price, and price per square foot. Next, I'm getting what locals say, and that's driven by a company called Spatial.ai, which analyzes millions of data points. Typically, it's driven most likely by purchases made by people that live in the neighborhood. Anytime you purchase something with a debit card, a credit card, a loyalty card, it's tracking all of that back to your home address. So you kind of see what people are doing in the neighborhood. Commute times. Now I'm going to show you how to zoom that in when we get to a specific listing. However, for right now, it's going to tell me from the center of Beaumont, Texas, how long would it take me to drive, bike, or walk to up to 3 separate locations. And when we get into the actual listing, we'll show you that a little bit further. Next, you can see there's information about the schools that are zoned to the neighborhood, and then if there are any private schools nearby as well. Finally, you can see places, which is powered by Yelp. If there were any nearby restaurants, clubs, cafes, grocery stores, etc., you would see places start to show up there powered by Yelp. And then finally, I can see the homes as I swipe left. Whoops. As I swipe to the left, I can see the homes that are available for sale in that neighborhood. And I can do that same exact thing with any neighborhood that shows up on this map. If I say, well, that looks nice, but what about Wellington Place? Let me get more information on this neighborhood. Or maybe it's Dowlin West. Let me get more information about Dowlin West. Any one of these ones that I click on, you can see I can dive into more information. So we know a lot of times people are like, well, I'm moving to Beaumont for work, or I'm moving to Beaumont, I'm transferring out there, my friends, whatever it is. I don't know what neighborhood to live in. Isn't that how they all kind of start? All of our buyers are like, well, I don't know. This is how they can start to find out more information about specific neighborhoods that are actually on the map in the area that they're looking to search in. So I can actually share, if I'm like, hey, this is a really nice neighborhood, I'd like to share this. I can click on that arrow in the top right-hand corner just below my battery, and you can see that I can send this via AirDrop, text, email, or any other social media messaging system that I have out to somebody else that I'm working with. So a partner, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, mom, whoever it might be, I could send this information about the specific neighborhood itself to another person as well. Now, there are some other different ways that we can search, right? So let's just do a good old-fashioned standard home search. Let's say I am looking for a home between, let's just do 250 and 350. So I'm going to take the left-hand slider, I'm going to slide it to the right. I'm going to click on the dot on the far right, I'm going to slide it to the left. Then I'm going to say, all right, I need, 3 daughters here soon. I'm going to need at least 4 bedrooms. We've got 2 dogs, so it needs to be a single family home so I can have a backyard. I can click on more and get some additional filters as well. So you can see as I start to scroll down, it defaults to properties that are for sale that are active. So if I click on that listing type drop down, you can see that I could also, if I wanted to, search for those other statuses. Now, each MLS is a little bit different in how they provide that information to the KW app. So there has been some inconsistency, just so you know, I'm always transparent about these things. with regards to foreclosures and short sales, just kind of a heads up there. But I can also search for properties that are for lease as well. So underneath that status box where you see for sale, I can actually toggle on for rent. It would start showing me lease properties, or I could go back to for sale. Scrolling down further, you can see bathrooms. Want to have at least 3, right? 3 daughters, no way they're all going to share one bathroom. Living area, we're in 2,600 right now. It's made the quarantine rather interesting. I'd like to have at least 3, but who wants to clean a 10,000 square foot house? Let's say between 3 and 4. And I can go through and add additional features if I wanted to. But I can now click on the Done button in the top right-hand corner. And now it is only going to show me properties on the map. Well, let me go back. For some reason, my price filters didn't save. But only properties that match the criteria that I have selected will show up on the map. So you can see there's 2 showing up on the map right now, 340,000, 350,000. I can keep scrolling out or scroll around on the map, and it's going to show me additional properties that match all of the criteria that I have actually put in. Now I could also zoom in and say, well, I want to make sure, because my family lives near the intersection of, I don't know what these roads are because I don't know them well, but let's just say I know where my friends or family live and I want to live near them. I can actually click on draw. And now I can say, I want to be on this side of this road, but I want to be north of this one. I kind of want to be in this particular area. So you can see as I drew out that square, it highlighted the entire square in blue. And now it doesn't matter how far I zoom out. I'm only going to see properties for sale in that shaded area. Now this took us a while, right? I had to choose bathrooms and bedrooms and prices and all that kind of stuff. And I don't want to have to do this every time, Chelsea. I don't want to have to put this criteria in every time as I search as a consumer. Wouldn't it be nice for me to actually save this search somewhere where anytime then, tomorrow, the next day, a week from now, a month from now, I could access this exact same search criteria? Well, I can do that by clicking on the ribbon, Save, just above the finger that I used to draw with. So let me click on Save. It's going to say, what do you want to call this search? I'm just going to say, this is my Beaumont area home search. Now I click on Save, and now I have saved that search to my favorites. Well, how would I access that again in the future? If you see at the very bottom of your screen, there's a heart that says Save. It's one of your menu buttons at the bottom. If I click on that, you can see at the bottom of the screen, Recent Saved Searches. And I've got my Beaumont area, I spelled home wrong, sorry guys, Beaumont area home search. And now it takes me right back to that same criteria and same area on the map. If for any reason I was changing my criteria because of a different neighborhood, or I was in a different section of town, and all of a sudden now I'm way over here, and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll live up here, maybe I'll live over there. No, I want to go back to that first search that I had. I would just click on Saved, Beaumont area home search, and get taken right back to that same exact spot with that same exact criteria. And I would see at this point those same 2 properties. Now let's look at the actual properties themselves. We're going to start diving into the information that's included there. So let's check out the $299 one first. All right, so I can see this property as I click on the photo. It's only taking up the small portion of my screen. I want it to take up the full screen. I just put my thumb on the photo and I drag upwards. And then you can see, now I can see the entire listing on the screen. The top third or so shows me the photos. I can swipe left on each one of these photos. I can see them one by one, although they don't take up a lot of space on the screen. I can click on any one of the photos and get the gallery view, where I can now see up to 10 at a time. And then if I choose to, I can always say, all right, I want to look at that a little bit further. Let me click on one photo. And then you can see it. I can zoom in on this photo by putting both thumbs or 2 fingers and kind of sliding outwards. I can even turn my phone sideways and see more of the picture by turning it landscape mode than it was in portrait, right? So turn your phone sideways, you can get more of the photo to actually show up. So that's looking at photos on the actual listing. Below that, I can see the price, and there's some white space right below the price. If there had been a recent price decrease on this property, it would have a little squiggly line pointing downwards, and it would tell me that dollar amount. So how much of a price decrease did it go through recently? So you could get a kind of an idea if it had any reductions. I can see bedrooms, bathrooms, square footage, and then the address. Below the address, I get 3 buttons: save, hide, and share. If this is a property that I'm interested in, maybe I want to keep it on the list, or it's something that I want to reach out to my agent to schedule a listing, or excuse me, a tour of, I could click on save, and it would say, cool, do you want to save this to a collection? By default, I'm going to have a collection called Marty's Favorites. Okay, me as the consumer, my favorites. And if I wanted to add them to that collection, I would just click on the Marty's Favorites and then click on Save. However, I might be looking in several different areas of Beaumont. Maybe it's several different neighborhoods. And I could come in and create a collection for each one of those neighborhoods. I don't remember what neighborhood. Chelsea, what neighborhood was this that we were just talking about?
I'm sorry, which neighborhood? Let me see.
East Gladys, never mind, I found
Yep.
it. So I could save this, create a collection, and say, these are my East Gladys properties, right? And then I would just click on the dot next to East Gladys, click on save. It would then save that property to that collection that I just created. And if I wanted to see it again in the future, I would click on the down arrow just below the clock in the top left-hand corner there. Scroll down on the listing, and then I can see the saved. If I click on it, there at the top is my recent collections, and I can see that property that's included there. I can also, if I choose to, right, I can say, all right, I want to add a note to this property because I want to remember why it's there, right? Why did I add this property in my collections? I can't remember. Really nice deck off the back porch, right? Maybe that was the selling point, one of the reasons why I wanted to save that. Now, here's the cool thing, guys. They can create, your consumer or you as a consumer can create as many collections as you want. And that could be different neighborhoods you're looking for property in. That could be the 1-year plan, the 5-year plan, and the 10-year plan, right? Like at some point, I want to live on Lake Travis. I want to be on the water with the boat. You can see there's my vision board of my boat, right? And I could start a collection right now of Lake Travis homes. Even though I'm 10 to 15 years away from being there, I could start that collection now just to kind of get an idea of the property values and what I'd be looking at. Here's the other use for collections. What if your clients aren't looking to buy, but they're looking to remodel, or they're looking to put a pool in, but they know that when they meet with their pool builder or their designer or contractor, they're going to need to give them some examples. Well, they could start creating a collection that was great pools, nice backyard, amazing kitchen, remodeled bathroom, right? And name collections for those types of properties and add properties into those collections as well. So there's a variety of uses for collections other than just homes I'm looking to purchase. As we go back into that actual listing, you can also choose, how many of you have heard this? You're working with a buyer and they're like, well, I looked on the app again, it's the same 2 properties, those are the only ones for sale, neither of them really fit our criteria. Well, this one we know does, and yet what if we were looking at this property and we decided, that one's just not going to be a good fit, right? Looks very modern, maybe modern's not our style. I'm going to go ahead and click on hide. And now you can see the eye turned red, kind of went bloodshot there on my phone. And when that happens, that property gets grayed out on the map immediately. And then if for any reason I go away from that search and back to that search, now what happens? It's gone. It no longer shows up. And so you could literally train your consumers, hey, I know there's the same 6 properties, but go through those 6. If any of them are potential keepers, save them. If you don't want to see any of the rest of them anymore, then hide them. And that way, each time when you come in and check on your saved search, you're either going to see contenders, meaning properties you saved, or new listings, because the other ones you hid, so they're not going to show up anymore. If for any reason they hit it and they're like, oops, didn't mean to do that, or I want it back, or whatever, you can click on more in the top right corner, scroll to the very bottom of this filter list, and you'll see show hidden listings. If I click on that and then click on done, You can now see it shows back up. It's still grayed out, but it's back on my screen at least. And then I could click on it and then scroll up, and I would click on hide one more time, and then the property would no longer be hidden. The last button that we can utilize on that menu is called share. This obviously is what I would do if I wanted to share this property with a partner, husband, wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, someone else that I was buying the property with. You can see that I can easily text this to someone. I could airdrop it, send it to them in an email, some other social media channel. You can see all the different ways that I could send that property out. I could actually just copy the link if I wanted to as well. So that's the save button to start a collection, the hide button, so you don't have to see it anymore, and then the share button. From there, you can see we get some additional information about Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered, which is nice because then we know if we didn't have the opportunity to talk to our client about those two amazing programs, the app is kind of CYA, it's going to do it for us. That way they have options and they can then decide what they want to do. Guys, even if you're recommending a local lender, which I'm totally okay with, I do the same thing. I'm still going to keep Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered on my app so that the consumer can never say I didn't discuss it or give them the opportunity to learn more about it, right? Next, after Keller Mortgage and Keller Covered, you'll see the description of the property being pulled from the MLS. Next, as we scroll down, we get some more information. Chelsea, let me ask you this. Based upon what you can see on our screen, who is the listing agent for this property? Who's the
Just American Real Estate. It doesn't give me a specific agent.
So you mean there's no way for me as a consumer to call that listing agent instead of calling you my agent?
No, because I'm going to have to ask my agent down at the bottom.
Who does that ask, Chelsea?
The agent that is affiliated with my app.
So you mean it's not for other random agents that have paid to have their name listed on the site?
Absolutely not. It's Keller Williams app.
You mean it's not the listing agent where by chance they could bypass you, cut you out of the transaction, go directly to the listing agent and work with them?
Nope.
Guys, why is this a big deal? Why do you want your consumers using the KW Consumer app? A lot of people I've worked with are like, I don't care, one app, another app, doesn't really matter to me as long as they're finding properties that I can help them write a contract on. However, guys, the reality is some of your consumers are using apps that list the listing agent's information clearly and easily for them to click on. Worse yet, guys, some of you are using, your consumers are using apps that not only list one agent's information, but they list multiple agents' information. And then that poor consumer is going to click on a button that says ask an agent, thinking that you are the agent they would be asking the question of. And all of a sudden their phone blows up with 2, 3, 4, 15 phone calls from random agents that they don't know, all attempting to convert them into a buyer when you have already worked extremely hard to land that person as a buyer. And now you're competing with agents that you didn't even know existed, all because your consumer wasn't using the KW Consumer app. This isn't necessarily a selling point for the consumer, but it certainly should be a selling point for you. Why do you want your consumers using the KW Consumer app? Because KW protects you as the agent that they have paired with and make sure that if there's any requests or questions, they come back to you. Okay, so just one more reason why I definitely want you guys to get your consumers on the app. Remember, I used to be there. I know what it's like to make 6 hours worth of cold calls to finally get somebody after 7 months worth of calls, emails, and texts to say, all right, we might be interested. And all of a sudden you get them on an app and then they ghost you. Come to find out they wrote an offer with the listing agent and now all of a sudden someone's trying to cut you out of a commission. Not a fun process, okay? So that's why I want you using your KW Consumer app with your consumers. Next, we're going to get some more information being pulled from the MLS. And then I can see the name of the neighborhood as defined by Nextdoor. I can see some basic stats on that neighborhood as I continue to scroll up. What locals say. Walkability, so Live By is a company that basically, it takes a look at access to public transportation, what's the sidewalks look like, what's the frequency or the distance between grocery stores and churches and gyms and places like that. I've taught this class a lot across South Texas. We're just not a very car dependent neighborhood type of state. Think about like New York, right? If I was in Manhattan, I wouldn't even need a car because I have access to so many different methods of public transportation, etc. So I wouldn't really worry about too car dependent. You're not going to find many neighborhoods in South Texas that are much more than 50%. So let's talk about commute times. Where do they always want to live close to? Right? They got to be within 45 minutes of work. They've got to be within 30 minutes of her mom's house. They've all got to be within 30 minutes of the gym, or 15 minutes of our church, or 10 minutes of our favorite steakhouse, right? So Chelsea, tell me your favorite restaurant there in the Beaumont area. What's your favorite restaurant in Beaumont?
In Beaumont, I'm gonna go with, you're putting me on the spot. I don't live in Beaumont, so I don't do a lot up here.
Okay, so where do you live? Do you live close?
Yeah, let's go with the Wheelhouse. It's about 25-ish minutes from Beaumont.
Okay, is it called The Wheelhouse?
Guys, is it the Nature's Wheelhouse?
I don't know, you tell me.
I know, I need somebody, we all just call it the Wheelhouse. I think it's the Nature's Wheelhouse.
What's the first word?
Natchez, Neches, in. Natchez River Wheelhouse.
Ah, we're getting there.
I knew somebody had to know where I was talking about.
All right.
Okay, let's do.
No one knows your restaurant, Chelsea. Wah, wah.
It's a newer restaurant.
Yeah, what's the address to the Market Center? We'll go that route.
6310 6310 Delaware. Yep, the very first one.
Right first. Right, there we go. 6310. So if I bought this house, I would be 8 minutes drive time. It would take me, if I wanted a bike to work, 16 minutes. And if for any reason my car broke down and I needed to walk to work, it would take me a good old hour. Now here's the cool thing. Your consumer can put any 3 places into their consumer app that are important to them. Let's just say, I think you guys have a Papa Dough down there, don't you? What did I just put in Papa Dough?
Oh, we do.
Let's see, and then I'm gonna put Beaumont and watch what happens. I-10 South, Beaumont, Texas, right? I didn't even have to know the location. I just put in Papa Dough and Beaumont, right? And if that was gonna be one of my places, I could see, hey, it's only a 7-minute drive to Papa Dough. And if I want to work off some of those extra calories, I could bike there 33 minutes. And if I had one too many swamp things and I need to walk home, well, that'd be a really long walk. Take me a couple hours to get home, right? So you can see that the consumer can put any 3 locations. I once worked with buyers where it was a couple and then the woman's mom lived with them. And she told me straight up, she's like, look, my mom is really old. She cannot drive. We don't trust her to drive anymore. She's had a couple accidents. She can't see well. But she goes to church every day and she walks to the grocery store on the weekends. On Saturday, she goes to the grocery store. So we have to live in a house that's within walking distance of a grocery store and a Catholic church. And I said, I don't know how HAR is going to do that, right? Is there a filter for nearby Catholic churches? Pretty sure there's not. So that's a great example where I could train that consumer. Great, here's what I want you to do. I want you to download my KW consumer app. I want you to start looking at some neighborhoods that might be a good fit. Once you find those neighborhoods, let me know. And then what would I do? I would Google those neighborhoods and then do my best to find a nearby church and a nearby grocery store. And I would tell them, okay, I want you to put these 2 addresses or name, right, this church, this grocery store, into your consumer app. And then anytime you click on any listing, it'll tell you how far is it of a drive, a walk, or a bike to get to any one of those locations. And that'll show up every time. Now that I put these 2 addresses in, any other listing that I look at, anywhere in the US or Canada, it'll tell me how far it'll take me to drive, walk, or bike to those locations. So that's a pretty cool add-on that not a lot of other apps will have, is the ability to easily calculate drive, bike, and walk time to 3 specific places. Next, you're going to see the information for the schools and then the private schools nearby. I can see upcoming open houses and then a mortgage calculator. Now, one thing on the mortgage calculator, I'll just say be careful with, it doesn't include taxes. So it does not incorporate taxes. We know that tax rate depending can make a pretty big impact on your monthly payment. So I would just make sure that your client is aware of that. Because obviously it's a monthly payment situation and you've got mortgage insurance, you've got more information about KM and color covered. Next, and this is as of last week, so this is pretty exciting because some of the classes I taught were before last week. They didn't get to see this feature, but you guys are seeing it live right now. If this is a listing that I want to go see, I can click on, and even though it says video tour, just know that I can schedule an in-person tour as well, but I can click on schedule video tour. It's going to say, hey, when do you want to schedule it for? The nice thing is, as an agent, I'm not going to get caught off guard because as a consumer, I cannot choose the same day. So I have to choose the next day or anytime that next week. So I could say, yeah, I can see it tomorrow. We got plans in the evening, so it could be morning or afternoon. Sunday, we go to church, so it'd have to be afternoon or evening. And then I could see it Monday if I needed to, but I work, so only Sunday evening. And then I can scroll up a little bit further. You can see there's information that say your health and safety are our top priority. That's why we've added the option to tour properties you're interested in through a live video chat, which means that they can request to see it in person or via live video. And you can see if they say, hey, I'd like to see that via live video, it's going to say, all right, which platform do you prefer? And they can choose one or more of those platforms. As the agent, you will then get this request. I'm going to click on schedule video tour. And that request, you can see has been submitted. Your agent will get in touch with you via email to confirm. Now that request just got routed through Kelly. It also came into my command account. I'm going to show you that in just a second. So you'll be able to see where these requests are coming in. Kelly on point there immediately tells me, look at the top of my phone. Do you see where it now says agent site notification, video tour requested from, and then the client's name. Now I will be transparent with you. As I click on this notification, I'm immediately taken into the contact record of the consumer. So if I click on my bell, I can see there's the request. However, it's just giving me the actual contact record. I'm going to need to be in command in order to see what property they have requested to tour and what times and dates. But at least it gives me a heads up, hey, somebody requested a tour. I now know that I need to grab my laptop or my desktop, get into command, and actually see the information there about the request. Right? So that does come through Kelly. I'll show you when we put our agent hat back on what that looks like in command. Next, I can see my own activity. So how many times have I viewed this property? Have I favorited it? Have I hidden it? I can also see nearby homes that are for sale, just so I can kind of check those out. And then you're going to see some additional MLS information, legal information, all brought in from KWRI. Just a heads up, those that are high C, see that the MLS source origin, right now there's an error where all MLSs are getting credited to Austin Board of Realtors. They're working on fixing that, so you can just kind of ignore that for right now. But that's all of the information that you would see on any listing that's in the KWRI system. Any listing that you would be able to see, right? Any one of these ones I click on, I would get that same amount of information. Let's talk about a couple of different other feature options within the search criteria, and then we're going to dive into some additional options in our toolbar. So how many of you are like me? Doesn't matter where I am, right? I drive all over South Texas. I go to Connecticut to see my sister and her family. I go to Vegas to see my brother and his family. We've got family in Ohio. I've gone to California for wine country. Doesn't matter where I go. I see a for sale sign and I want to know what. Are you like me? I want to know how much is it. I don't even plan on moving here, right? I can't afford to live in wine country, but I'm just curious. Guys, your consumers are the exact same way. Know that this consumer app is nationwide. So if they are using a local app like HAR, that's all fine and well. It's a good app, don't get me wrong, and yet I can't search for places outside of the Houston, greater Houston area using the HAR app. If I'm traveling for business, for pleasure, for family, whatever it may be, and I'm somewhere and I want to know how much is that house right there, the one that's sitting right outside my window or right off my bike or on my walk, wherever I am. You see the arrow at the top of the screen that's kind of cockeyed left? Click on it. We all just got taken somewhere. You all, with me, got taken to Katy, Texas, because that's where I'm sitting right now, is in Katy, Texas. So, I mean, how many times have your buyers called you? I've had this call a couple of times. Sometimes it's a sign call, sometimes it's actual client. And they say, hey, we were driving around earlier and we saw this house for sale. I don't know which street it was, right? Or they call off your sign and they say, how much is the house for sale? And you're like, I have multiple listings. Which one are you in front of? Oh, I don't know which street I'm on. Well, sir, I can't, you know what I mean? So if they had your consumer app, they could just click on that arrow and they would immediately see the closest properties to them that are listed for sale. And then they could click on it and get you the address of the property so you can do more research on that actual listing. And that's anywhere, guys, in Canada or the US. So it's nationwide and into Canada as well. Final feature that I want you guys to be aware of. How many times have you gone on a showing appointment or a listing appointment and you got to the house and you're like, ooh, I wish I knew it back to that. Or I wish I knew the neighbor setup kind of looked like that. Or, ooh, this neighborhood's kind of interesting, whatever it might have been. I went on a listing appointment one time and I had a fully prepared marketing presentation, fully prepared CMA. I was ready to take this listing, had the price in mind already as I walked through the door. And I start to hear this humming sound while I'm in the house. And I'm like, and the sellers immediately recognize that look, like, what the hell is that? They take me out to the backyard where I can see behind the back fence a commercial car wash. No lie, 6 bays all the way across. I can hear that humming is the pumps for the water. I can hear people playing music, people having full conversations. Of course, I can hear the water spraying everywhere. That CMA went right out the window. Here I was about to sell this house for X. We probably lost $25,000 just for the mere fact that back to that car wash, and I should have known that, and I didn't. So every time after that, I went on a listing presentation, I did a Google Earth search for the address, so I'd have a better idea of what it backed to as I was doing my CMA. That took me having to download Google Earth to my computer or my laptop and then access it as a program. Well, here's the cool thing, guys. Our app, I told you earlier, integrates with Google. Well, as part of that, it actually integrates with Google Earth, not only Google Maps, but Google Earth as well. Click on the More button in the top right-hand corner. More button in the top right-hand corner. We spent some time on this filter earlier. Now I want you to click on the second tab. You might not even notice there was 2 tabs up there. Listings and Map. Let's click on Map. You see, by default, I get the street view where I can see bodies of water, parks, streets, names of streets, and address, or neighborhoods, excuse me. If I click on satellite though, watch what happens. Now click on Done, and you're gonna see the Google Earth view, literally the satellite view of these properties that are for sale nearby. So you can actually zoom in on the map and you can get pretty zoomed in. And I can start to look and say, okay, let me get some more information about what this property looks like. What do the neighbors' houses look like? Does it back to, how many times have you worked with a buyer that says we want to or don't want to? Back to a green belt, back to a bayou, back to power lines, back to a busy street. Now you have the ability to actually search for those listings and then see what does it back to. Let's say, for example, I was going on a listing appointment in Hunter's Terrace. I pulled up Hunter's Terrace on my map and I started to realize, wow, if I don't have a pool in Hunter's Terrace, I'm probably in trouble. I mean, look at this one street. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of the 14 houses on the street. 10 out of 14 have a pool. So if I'm going to sell one of these 4 on this street that don't have a pool, I'm probably in trouble. Because, or maybe I'm lucking out, I don't know. Maybe I'm the one guy that gets to go to everyone else's house and hang out with their pools. But it's just one more thing that I can see. All right, I can also see as I zoom in, do you guys see those white lines just behind the fence? And then do you see the black line right here in the middle of the screen? And then as I zoom back out, I can scroll, another black line right in the middle of the screen. What are those? Put it in the chat, you probably know what that is. What are those black lines? Chelsea, you can unmute and tell us what those black lines are. That's a power line. Danya is correct. This is a power pole right in the middle of the screen. That is either the actual pole or the shadow of the pole from when the satellite actually passed over the house. So it's also a good way to know whether or not these houses are backing to. In this case, you got no rear neighbors. However, you do have power lines. So one more great aspect of the consumer app is that both you and your consumer, you can train your consumer to do this as well, to look at the satellite view under the map filter and then see what does the property back to. All right, so next I want to talk about, so we spent a lot of time in that search menu. That's the bottom left-hand corner of the magnifying glass. Bottom right-hand corner, you've got the more menu, and you can see several sub-menus there. So history just shows kind of a history of things that I've done on the app. It's not loading right this second, but it's basically properties that I have viewed there in the past. I can also click on my account and see places. So places are those items that we were putting in with the listing earlier, where I could see the commute time via walk, bike, or drive. And I can add them from here in addition to adding them from the actual listing. Next, I can also add a co-buyer if I want them to be able to do things in my app or me to do things in theirs. You can see I could put the first, last, and email address. That is not for your agent. Okay, that is only to invite a co-buyer, meaning someone else that you're purchasing. It has different features. The agent side, I'm going to show you here in a second. The fourth button there, you can see share the KW app. Now, I can actually share this app from within the app. Just remember, though, it's geared for consumer to consumer. So if you as the consumer/agent want to share your app from within the app, you can. There's nothing preventing you from doing so. You just want to make sure that you change the verbiage. So here's the text that I would send out from within the app. And it says, I use the KW app to search for homes with my realtor, Marty Miller. That would make sense for my wife to send to her best friend. But it doesn't make sense for me to send to her best friend, because then it's weird. I use the KW app to search for homes with myself. It just is weird, right? So instead, I could come in, let's just say I was sending this to Chelsea, and I could say, hey, Chelsea, spell your name right. I use the KW app to, or no, please, because I sounds weird talking about yourself as the agent, please use the KW app to search for homes. And I would just take this all out and I would just say with me, period. And now I could send that text to Chelsea. It makes a little more sense, right? So that's me as the agent/consumer sharing my consumer app from within the app. I'm going to show you 3 different other ways to share your app or get it out into other people's hands as well. From there, again, more information on Keller Mortgage covered, legal information, and then the ability to actually sign out from the app as well. Saved, we talked about that. So I can see my recent collections at the top and then my recent saved searches at the bottom. Feed, we're continuing to improve the functionality here. In the near future, you'll actually be able to create saved searches for your consumer. You'll actually be able to create collections for them. So properties you think they'll like, and you could add them in there. An additional collection will be your featured listings, which we're very close to launching that full aspect. And then the guide, you can see anytime I update a guide step or timeline. Now, what is the guide? I want you guys to click in the middle button, the very bottom toolbar there. Guide, it's right in the middle. You can see there are 2 tabs. There's a buying guide and a selling guide. And as I toggle between the 2, you can see there are multiple steps in each one of these guides. And I can click on any one of them. I'll get the header, kind of the teaser text, and then I'll get the full information of the guide. Now, Chelsea, let me ask you this. If I sent you this app, you're my consumer, I'm your agent, I sent you this app and say, hey, I want you to use my app, and you stumbled on the guide and you started reading through it, who would you assume wrote it?
My agent.
Who's me, right? I'm your agent.
Yeah.
I sent it to you, you'd assume I wrote it.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be important for me as your agent to know what you're reading and to know that I'm actually setting expectations for you as my consumer, either inadvertently or unknowingly, but now it's knowingly because you're on this webinar. You now realize that as you share your app with your consumers, that they're going to be looking through the guide. They're going to be curious. They're checking out all aspects of the app, which includes the guide. How many of you as agents have actually read through each step of these guides? Do you know what you're telling your consumer that you expect of them, what they can expect of you, how the process is going to work? So I know you're like, every time Marty shows up, we get homework, and yet just part of the class, right? Next piece of homework, I want you to spend time, go time block, it'll probably take about an hour to read through all of these steps. When you do that, I would have a piece of paper, a notebook, I would have a pen, and I would start reading through, and I would say, I would be thinking, do I do all of this? Do I agree with all of this? And if not, go ahead and write a note. Guys, these guides were built for a nationwide audience. And so they're somewhat vague, they're somewhat comprehensive, but you have to decide, is this how it works with me and my team, me and my business? So be thinking about, A, do I agree with and do all of the things that it said? Are there any things that I do or would recommend that are not included? And you're writing notes each time you come across something like this. So by the time you're done with both your buying and selling guide, you're going to have a series of notes of things that you either want to remove, change, or add. And from there, I'm going to show you how to actually do just that. So at this point, we're going to shift gears. Okay, we have now looked at the app in full as a consumer. I've shown you all of the different ways to search. We can search by landmark, we can search by area, neighborhood, we can search by the aerial view using the satellite preview. I can do a custom filtered search. I can get information about the neighborhood, about the listing, about nearby schools, about nearby restaurants and things like that through Yelp. So a very robust app from the consumer side. Now let's plus it from the agent side. So I'm going to go ahead and transition into Command, and we're going to look at, okay, so what can we do within Command where we can enhance the experience that the consumer has within their app. So consumer hat off, agent hat back on. Now we're going to talk about the guide because we've already been on that. Let's discuss how can I make changes, removals, edits to the guide steps. I've got my long list of notes that Marty asked me to write. Now what do I do with it? You're going to come into KW Command and you're going to click on Consumer. Consumer is the second to last applet down. You can see it here. When I do that, I get 3 tabs that open up at the top. And one of those is Guide Builder. So I'm going to click on Guide Builder. And you'll see that right now there are only 2 guides available for me to make any edits, changes, applies to. In the future, just so you guys are aware, you'll have the ability to create additional guides. So you could create a tenant guide, you could create a landlord guide, you could create a first-time home buyer guide, you could create a luxury selling guide, and you might have some additional steps that you add in some of those guides or completely write a new one, depending on who the buyer or seller market is. And then you would actually apply that guide to the actual contact that downloads your app. You'd have a default and then you could add additional ones, right? Right now, we can only change the buyer's guide or the seller's guide. So let me ask you this. Let's click on the seller's guide real quick. I didn't show it to you on the phone, and yet here it is. How many of you would agree that there are only 1, 2, 3, 4 little steps before we get to closing when we take a listing? Now, I love our KWRI marketing team. They do an amazing job. They make my life so much easier. And they have done a great job of providing a ton of information in each one of these selling guide steps. Look at all the information that they have in here. However, my recommendation is there's probably more than 4 steps, or we need to build out more than 4 steps. So for example, showing your home. Before I show it, I want to stage it. So step 1 might be staging your home, and I can talk about here's my recommended stagers. Do you get to work with them for free? If you work with me, it might be a value add for that first appointment. Here are my recommendations of things that you would do. So you need to make sure we power wash the driveway, we have fresh mulch, we have good landscaping, we've decluttered the inside, we've depersonalized the inside, right? All the different things you would do to stage the home. That can be one step, a guide step. Then it can be preparing your home for videography and photography. My photographer always wanted the blinds facing up because sunlight on the ceiling make the room look bigger. No fans can be on because those create a blur. All light bulbs must be working. If there are multiple light bulbs in a fixture, they must be all the same wattage and same style. He was very particular, but only because he wanted the photos of the houses he took to look really, really good. So he had a long laundry list that could be included in that whole preparing your home for sale. Guys, I'm going to give you a heads up from the sound of the thunder. Sounds like a big storm might be about to be coming through. You guys may have already experienced it. I'm hoping I don't lose internet. I haven't lost it once yet, but if it goes blank, that's because we lost power. Excuse me. So in order to edit these steps, you can see that by clicking on any one of the steps, I get this slide out from the left, and I can change the image. I can change the card title, the subtitle or teaser text here, as I called it earlier. And then, like I showed you, here are all those workspace details. So what shows up when I click on the actual step itself? So if there are some things that you didn't agree with in here, some things you wanted to add, this is where you would edit this particular step. And then if you wanted to add steps, you would come back in and go down to the bottom, and I could click on add a step. And then you can see from there, I can say, here's the title, here's the subtitle, and then in order to create a new step, you do have to have an image. So you'll want to have a place where you have images on your computer, hopefully that are, you know, royalty-free, copyright-free. You have the legal right to use them, or you've taken them if you're into that kind of thing. And I can just add that image and then click on continue. And now you'll see I've created a new guide step. Now we're not going to stage the home after it's closed, so I need to move this step. I can do that by clicking on this little tab, and then I can scroll all the way up to the top, and this would be my first step. Then to add the workspace detail, I'm just going to click on the step and scroll down. Here's where I would put in the actual details about staging the home. Okay, that's how you build out your guide. Now, guys, the guide is a tool. It's a weapon in your arsenal. When you are going on a listing appointment or a buyer consultation, you know you're competing. Even if they say you're not, we all know that everybody we know knows at least 2 or 3 realtors. So when you go, you need to make sure you're pulling out all the stops to make sure that they're working with you. Guys, this is one of those stops. When you're in the appointment and you're saying, Mr. Buyer or Mrs. Seller, when you work with me, when you work with any agent, the transaction of purchasing or selling a home can be very detailed. It can be very complicated. Occasionally it can be very overwhelming. And yet when you work with me as a KW agent, you have access to my Keller Williams consumer app. And I've included in that app a custom guide of all the home buying or home selling steps. And what's better is I'm going to actually check off those steps as we go through them, so that at any point during our transaction, if you want to know what have we done, what are we doing, and what do we have left to do, you can merely just pull out your consumer app and you will see which guide step we are currently on, which ones we've checked off, and which guide steps we still have left to accomplish. And sell them on this, guys, because here's the cool thing. Once you get back in as an agent to Command and you come into opportunities, as long as you've created an opportunity and then tied a contact to it that has downloaded your app, you will have the ability to actually manage their guide. And you're going to do that. I'm just going to pull up a sample opportunity here. And you can see underneath so once I get into the opportunity itself, there's a tab called Seller Profile. If I click on Seller Profile, this is where I can manage the guide. Now I have to make sure that the contact associated is registered on my platform, meaning they have either registered on my app or they've registered on my site or downloaded my app. Then I'll get this ability to manage the guide. If I click on it, you can see here are the 5 steps. And now I'm obviously going to call and email and probably text about the appraisal. And yet I would also check off that step. Click on Save Changes. It'll say, are you sure you want to change Elena's stages? I say yes. Now when Elena goes on her app, she's going to see number 4 has been checked off. So that's just one more way that you can help manage the transaction and give peace of mind to your clients. And guys, that other agent, they don't have this app unless they're in your market center. But you know what I'm saying, right? The other non-KW agent doesn't have it. The reality is, let's be real, there may be another KW agent you're competing against, but if they're not talking about the app and you are, there's a good chance that you get hired as compared to them. So use the app as another tool when you go on those appointments, and then manage it within the actual opportunity. So you can see the ability to create and edit the current guide, and then walk your consumer through the guide within the opportunity seller profile. Now we've talked a lot about this app, let's talk about how are we going to get it into people's hands? How do I get them to download it? How can I start getting the word out? 3 different ways. Well, there's 4. I've already talked to you about one of them. Share it from within the app. Okay, that's number 1. Number 2, manually share it. And when I say that, I want you to come into the consumer applet here, second to last one. And from any one of these 3 tabs, it doesn't matter which one you're in, you're going to see site and app settings. So if I click on site and app settings, you can see that I get a tab called URLs. I want you to click on URLs, and from there you will see your app URL. This is my app URL. Yours will look different. It's going to have a different code at the end of it. Each one of us as a KW agent has a different code. So if I sent this code manually to somebody, whether I was sending them a Facebook message or an email or just having some sort of computer-based conversation, and they clicked on it, they would be taken to this page where they would see information about the KW Consumer app. There's actually a full video, key features, and if they're on their phone or tablet, they can actually click on one of these 2 buttons and download the app from there, or they can actually put in their cell phone number and get sent a link to download it. So that's manually sharing the app using your specific code from within. Again, we were in the consumer applet. We clicked on site and app settings here in the corner, and then we used the URL tab. And that's where I get my specific app URL. So that's the second way, is just to manually share out this actual URL. The third way is, let's use a smart plan. Why would we do all the heavy lifting when we can leverage Command to do that for us? So if I click on the 4th icon down here, this is smart plans. You will see a list of the smart plans that you are currently working with. If you don't have any here, that's okay, don't worry. We can add them by clicking on library. Once I click on library, you will see there are 10 custom smart plans that have already been built out for me by KW, and one of them is called Promote My App. Any one of these 10, if you want to know what they do, just click on View Steps. And then you'll see here are the email, right? Here are the steps of this smart plan. This one fires an email right off the bat. Guys, the email is going to look a lot like this. Then it's going to wait 1 day, and it's going to send an automated text. Now that's through Twilio. Twilio, for those that are not aware, basically is a third-party integration that integrates into KW Command. It's a business texting platform. You can go to Twilio and actually sign up for an account. It'll cost you $20 to start, and then it'll start subtracting money from that $20 that you invest into the account. Once you get down to 10 bucks, it goes back up to 20. So sort of like the toll roads, I'm pretty sure that works the same way out there, definitely the same way here in Houston. So if I sign up for a Twilio account, I get assigned automatically a phone number. Now it is a 512 area code, just so you're aware, but you can go to Twilio support and actually get a local area code assigned to your account. So it still won't be your cell phone, but at least it's a local number. And then what I did is I texted all of my clients and said, I wanted to make sure that at any point during this business transaction, if we ever have any conversation via text, that our texts are kept secure and that they're kept separate. I don't need your texts, 1, to get into the hands of anyone else, and 2, I don't need them getting mixed up in the grocery list and then what my best friend is doing tonight and seeing whatever, right? The text that I'm getting to my phone. So I've invested in a business text line. You can text me at any point on this phone number, and it'll be kept separate, private, secure. I can access it through my actual Command platform, which I use for my real estate transactions. If you ever need to call me, just hit me on my regular cell phone number, and here that number is. So that's how I basically overcame that Twilio number not being my cell phone number. Once you connect Twilio, these 2 texts, including the smart plan, will be fired for you. You won't have to do anything. They'll automatically go out on your behalf. If you don't connect Twilio, you're going to get a task. Each one of these will fire a task for you to actually send the text yourself. And then you would have to go in and actually text that person what this actual text says. The nice thing is if you want to include this smart plan in yours, all you do is click on Add Smart Plan. It then brings it over to your smart plans. And this app is editable. So you can see on this screen, if this pencil is lit up and I have the ability to edit, you can see some of them it's not lit up, but I can edit this one. And you'll notice on text number 3, well, it was the first text, and then step number 5, the second text, I've actually made some changes to mine. You can make these same changes to yours. You can actually use what are called merge fields, where I said, hey, and then I clicked on merge field, contact first name. That way, if I send this text out to Ann, it's going to say, hey, Ann. If I send it out to Adrian, it'll say, hey, Adrian. If I send it out to Danya, it'll say, hey, Danya. Hey, Janice. Hey, Patty. Hey, Robin. Hey, Chelsea. So it looks like I'm actually sitting there on my phone sending you this text, but I'm letting the system do that for me. Then it's going to say this is either agent first name, last name. If you're on a team and you're sharing smart plans with other team members, which you'll have that ability to do very soon, this is the route I would recommend you take. If it's always just going to be you, then I would do the second route where you just type in, hey, it's Marty, hey, it's Chelsea, hey, it's whoever. Then it says, did you know that you can see all the cumulative stats, or did you know there's a neighbor listed at home? Whatever it is, you can quickly and easily put in. And if you want to write something else, guys, all you have to do is click anywhere in the text and then write something else, whatever you want the text to actually say. So you can customize those texts once you've got them saved or customized. Then you would just click on save. And now you have that new smart plan saved. You can add people to the smart plan 3 different ways: from within the smart plan applet by clicking on this plus sign, and then I can search by an individual's name or by an individual's tag. Just know that you're adding 20 at once. It's a little bit quicker if I'm wanting to add in bulk to actually come into my contacts. I could then filter, right? Let's just say I want all of my buyers to get this. I could come in, select system tag buyer, apply the filter, and then you'll see I get 17 people showing up. I could actually click on this box to check all 17, and then I would do a bulk action, add to smart plan, and choose to promote my app smart plan. I could then add them all right now. I could add them at a future date, or I could stagger add them over several days. I could just say add 3 a day, 5 a day, 6 a day, whatever I want. Finally, if I've just added a new contact to my database and I just want that person added, I would click on their name, I would click on smart plans, add to smart plan, and then my promote my app smart plan. Those are the 3 ways to use smart plans, which was the 3rd way to share your app. The 4th and final way is through social media. So if I click on the megaphone, which is the campaigns applet, and I have connected either my Facebook or my Twitter or both within the settings, and you can see here in settings that I can connect my Facebook page or my Facebook account, right? My business page is tied to my Facebook account. So I'm setting up post scheduling here within Facebook and Twitter. Then when I come back into campaigns, at least one or both of those are connected. I can go into social posts up here at the top. Everyone see social posts? And then here's the great part, guys. Many of you have told me, and I'm in the same boat, I'm just not good with social media. I'm not good with designs. I'm not good with knowing what to say. I don't know how to get it out there. Here's a very cool thing, guys. Scroll down and look on this right-hand side. Do you see these 2 where it says social posts and then there's 2 actual posts here? Guys, these are already professionally designed images with professionally designed text. So I can actually click on the arrow on either one of these, and it's going to pull up this social post. It's going to have a recommendation of what to say. If I don't like what this says, I can click on shuffle, and it's going to give me a new recommendation of what to say. I can click on it several times and get several different recommendations, or I can just come in and type something here, right? Whatever I want to actually type in the actual post. Next, you can see it's got the image already uploaded. My DBA is automatically uploaded. I can choose to either publish this right now, or I can schedule the post out. I've done this class multiple times. I'm actually out and scheduling into June right now. So let's say I wanted this to go out on June 15th at 9 a.m. And then I want it to go out on my Facebook and my Twitter account, and I'm going to click on schedule post. It's going to give me a preview of what it looks like in Facebook and on Twitter. Then I'll click schedule one more time. And now I have this professionally designed marketing photo with professionally designed text already going out on my social media, Facebook and Twitter accounts on Monday, June 15th. If I want a different one to go out, I could click on this arrow. You saw how quick and easy that one was going out Monday. I like this text. I like this photo. I want to schedule that for, let's say, the 17th. And I like consistency on my time. So let's do 9 a.m. on that one as well. Facebook and Twitter. Schedule, preview, preview, schedule. Now I've got one going out on Wednesday, the 17th. How little time did that take me? And guys, here's the cool part. You're like, well, I'm gonna just post the same two every day. Like, that's gonna get real old real quick. I agree. I wouldn't wanna just post the same two posts every single day. But here's the nice thing. Now you can see Monday the 15th, that post is going out. Wednesday the 17th, this post is going out. But I only have these two to choose from? Nope. Click on shuffle. There's two new ones. Shuffle again, two more new ones. Just keep shuffling and you're gonna get, there's about 15 different ones that you can choose from to post onto your accounts. I clicked shuffle probably about 7 times there. It really differs. There's no set number of times to click it, but I want to find this right here. Marty, why do you want to post a black block to your social media? It's not just a black block. It's actually the video for the KW app from Family Reunion. Professionally designed, great soundtrack, already built for you. If you want to post that one, same process. Click on the arrow. Text is already there. Video is already embedded. I can say Facebook and Twitter. I want to schedule this one. I want to click on the calendar. Let's go out to June 19th at 9 a.m. and Facebook and Twitter, schedule, preview, preview, schedule. And now I have social media content going out on my Facebook business page and my Twitter account 3 times that week. And it took me what, about 5-6 minutes? Guys, go time block 10 minutes a week. I don't care, block 30 minutes a month and build out your social media content with regards to your KW consumer app for the entire week or the entire month all at once. And you'll see these are all going to look really good. They're all professionally designed. They've got the correct text. Each one of them has my app link, mine, right? Not yours, but mine. Your post would have your link. And so anyone could click on it at any time and then go download your app. So that's the 4th way, is to use social posts to leverage the design and text that's going to be said. Now let's talk about what's happening within Command when someone is using my app. First of all, anytime somebody requests a tour, you saw the app, the Kelly app sent me an alert. I also will get an alert bell go off here in Command. That little red dot means there's an alert happening. And you can see, here's that video tour that was requested. If I click on this video tour requested area, the white lettering, it's going to actually take me to my consumer. This is me as a consumer contact record. And then you can see, here's where I requested a video tour. I can click on the first link, and that's the actual property, so that as an agent, I can see, all right, what did Marty want to see? Let me get some more information about this property. And then I can come in and click on view request. I can say, when did Marty want to see it? And is this in person or via video tour? And if it's a video tour, what platform does he request that we use? And then I can call Marty and say, hey, yep, I'm good. Sunday afternoon actually works best for me. And I have an iPhone. Do you have an iPhone? Yeah, let's both do FaceTime or Zoom or Facebook Messenger or whatever works best. Works best between the two of you. This right now is the only alert you're going to get as far as things that are happening within the app. Because think about it, guys. Ideally, you have 50, 100, 200 people using your app. You don't want an alert going off every single time someone looks at a property, creates a collection. Your phone would go nuts. However, in the contact record, you can see what they are doing, right? So you can see when I am editing collections, when I am viewing listings, when someone adds you as an agent, all of those things are viewable within the contact record. The other nice thing is when you come into contacts, there is a column that says last visited. If it were me, every time I came into Command, if I were being purposeful about lead follow-up, I would click on last visited. It would sort all of my contacts by the last time they were on either my consumer app, my agent site, or one of my landing pages that I've sent out via email. And you can then see, all right, great. Well, the last time somebody was on this was actually Marty Miller. He was on there. Wow, he was on there only about an hour ago. And then you could come into the contact record and start seeing what they're up to. Have they created a collection? Did they edit a collection? Did they view a listing? Any of those types of things are going to start to show up within this contact record, within that actual person's Command contact activity timeline on the right-hand side there. So that's how you can kind of spy, if you will, right? I would make sure that it wasn't spying. Bottom line is I would make sure that when I was talking to my consumer about the KW consumer app, I would make sure they knew that I could see what they were doing. So here's the great part. Anytime you look at a listing, create a collection, create a saved search, any of that kind of stuff, I'm going to know. It will help me be better informed about what's happening when you are using your app, so that I'm better prepared when it comes time to show you homes or whatever it may be. The other route is to play dumb. When you see them create a favorite collection and add a property, you could say, oh, I was just in the neighborhood and I saw a property that I thought might be a good fit, 123 Main Street. And they're like, oh, yeah, we love that property. We actually added it to our collection this morning on your app. Oh, wow, what a coincidence, Chelsea. That's crazy. You want to go see it tonight? You want to go see it tomorrow morning? So there's two different schools of thought. My school of thought has always been let them know that I can see what they're doing, so they're not surprised when I call to talk about it with them. What I wouldn't do is not tell them, but then call them later and be like, hey, I saw everything you were doing on your phone last night and saw all those properties you were looking at. And then they're like, whoa, you can see what I'm doing on my phone? Well, I don't know if I like that. That's kind of invasive or whatever it might be, right? So just make sure they understand what you are up to. Finally, if you're attempting to track how many contacts that you are getting into Command from people downloading your app, there is a new filter in Contacts. You can click on the Contact home screen and then click on Filters. Bottom right-hand corner, it's called Branded to Me. I'm going to click on Yes and then Apply, and then you will see this little check mark means that somebody has either registered on my agent site or downloaded my app and selected me as their agent. So you can see all of that information there as well. So it's a great way to kind of track your results. Guys, that is the Q2 training on the KW consumer app. So we spent an hour or so with our consumer hat on, and we use the app as we want our consumers to use it. You've now learned a variety of the features that are available there. So when they say, no, I'm good, you can say, well, how good are you? Let's talk about what you're using and what my app has to offer. Just check it out. Spend a couple of days with it. If you don't like it, you can go back to the other app. And when you know what that app can do, then you're good, because you're like, I already know my app is better than any other app out there because of all the different things that it can do. Now I just have to show that to people in order to get them to use it. We also then talked about the intricacy of the guides and what a selling point that could be, how to customize those, and then how to use Command to enhance your business based upon what your consumers are doing. So like I said, this has been recorded. I'll send it out to Chelsea and the leadership team there at your market center. So I know one of my opportunities can be that I talk too fast sometimes. So if I went too fast, if I talk too fast, you can rewatch that video, kind of catch back up and see the highlights as well. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, I got a few minutes. I do have a 4 o'clock, but we got about 5 minutes. If anyone has questions that they want to ask, I would be happy to address those on the consumer app, what's going on there. You guys are being nice. You're going to give me a potty break before my 4 o'clock, which is awesome. And by the way, you can tell a guy has 2 5-year-olds when he says the word potty on a webinar that's being recorded.
I didn't even bat an eye the fact that you said potty.
Oh,
So,
you have kids, right? You get it.
Yes,
the language we all speak. It's a universal language.
But Marty, if anybody has any other questions and they get with me and I cannot answer them, then I'll reach out with you with those questions.
Fantastic. And guys, I got to give props to Chelsea. So we have a report in the Market Center called the Vital Signs Report. It basically tracks a lot of different things happening in the Market Center, but 3 of those metrics have to do with the tech side of things. And as Chelsea is one of your tech drivers there, or the tech driver in your Market Center, one of my tech drivers in the region, she's done an amazing job with you guys. And I really appreciate her leaning in and you guys leaning back. I know you've gone through some intricate and interesting things with the number of MLSs that you deal with in the Beaumont area, but Chelsea and your Market Center have one of the highest scores in the region. So excellent job, Chelsea. I can't wait to see you get to 20. You're so close. I know that's going to happen in the next month or 2, and yet that score that you guys have is literally, I think it's in the top 3 of all Market Centers in the South Texas region. So fantastic job. Keep using the app, keep using Command, lean into the tech. And of course, if you ever need anything, Chelsea, you know I got you. Let me know.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir. Guys, if y'all need anything or y'all think of any questions after this, y'all shoot me a text or give me a call.
Sounds good. Guys, have a great weekend. Stay safe out there. Sounds like a lot of rain coming through this weekend, but we'll make it, and we'll see you on the other side. Take care.